Welcome to the Pocono Mountains, one of America's favorite playgrounds. Of course, this area was once the exclusive playground of Indian tribes like the Shawnee and the Lenape. As a matter of fact, the word Pocono means river between two mountains. And you're looking 4 miles down the road at beautiful Delaware Water Gap. That's right. This break between New Jersey to the right and Pennsylvania to the left houses the Delaware River, America's largest free-flowing river on the eastern part of the United States. All of this is a beauty that we bring to Delaware Water Gap and Wolf Hollow at Water Gap Country Club. Enjoy the trip. Hop back in time with us on The Traveling Golfer.
American owned, family operated, 5 generations, fiercely focused on one thing: putting the best beer on the bar. Yuengling, America's oldest brewery.
We're with Sean Lyons, the owner of Wolf Hollow at Water Gap Country Club. A little piece of paradise in the Pocono Mountains. Sean, welcome to the Traveling Golfer.
Thank you for having me.
Well, let's get a little bit of the history of you and how you came to Water Gap.
Well, I fell in love with the Poconos as a kid. My parents would bring me to the Poconos all the time. We would stay right at Shawnee, right down the road. And it was just an excellent experience from skiing to hanging out in the summertime until I finally met my wife here.
Owning something like this is a different experience because not only are you trying to maintain the history of the property, but you're trying to bring back some of that old grandeur. And in doing so, you actually changed the name back to its original name. Tell the story of that.
Correct. Yeah, the course opened in the 20s. It was called Wolf Hollow Country Club.
And then the name changed. And it became, when they built the inn here, it became Delaware Water Gap Country Club.
Yes, Water Gap Country Club.
It is a classic old-style golf course in that it has all of the quirkiness that this very severe terrain would bring to it.
Oh yeah, well it was pegged by Tillinghast and then eventually finished by Robert White, one of the first PGA presidents. So they had those shot-type courses around the country. They're gorgeous places. It's a little difficult.
This is one of the more straightforward holes at Wolf Hollow, but don't be fooled. There are plenty of other holes on this quirky old golf course that will keep your interest from start to finish. You can't fight this course. You've got to sort of try and hit the shots and let them flow with the terrain, not fight the terrain itself. Big part of the history here is the Eastern Open, which was played here as part of a PGA event back in the 20s, and of course Walter Hagen, the star of the entire thing, and he actually won the tournament here. You've kept that history alive with a great archive of photos on the walls throughout the hotel here, and many of those photos depict the scenes there with the people ringing the greens, dressed up in their white shirts and ties and knickers, and the women with their hats. It really is quite a great picture of the Roaring 20s, and a couple of those greens and complexes have been captured on these photos here. The one I love is the 4th hole. It's actually called Hagen's Folly. It's a little tiny par 3, but he had a car crash there, right?
I want to say he shot an 8 on that hole, and he was distracted by a hot dame in the crowd. From what we understand, some of the stories that you hear.
Do you have a particular hole that you like?
Well, I love 12. I'm not very good at 12, but I love 12. It's just a great shot. I seem to be short every time, but I love that hole.
Another of the oddities, there are only 2 par 3s on this golf course. One is the short hole known as Hagen's Folly. The other is this 205-yard downhill monster, number 12, that is one of the best par 3 holes in all of the Pocono Mountains. The 10th hole is another interesting photo. Looks a little different now than it did in that photo, though.
Oh, well, now there's part of the hole has the clubhouse on it, so the pro shop is actually part of that back of that green that's there.
The 10th hole at Wolf Hollow is the closest I've ever seen a green to the pro shop, which is a good thing. If you're having a bad day, you can stop in and get a lesson or buy more golf balls. Well, you certainly have a beautiful setting. The back patio, you know, the charm of an older place is what brings people back all the time. And as you say, you've given so much attention to the history. The photos of the old tournaments and Walter Hagen and the old golfers are throughout the building.
That's the deep roots of this facility, and I think it's our goal to show that to everyone so it can bring them back some serious history to the region.
As the new owner, what's your vision for this property?
Well, the vision is to make it so a lot more people can obviously enjoy it. You know, we think the golf industry is changing a little bit, and we really need to attract some more families. We've renovated the pool, the fence, the restaurants, the hotel rooms, and really working on the course. Spend some money to renovate the facility and really stay true to what Tillinghast and Robert White did to the course.
We're with Carl Wilgus, President, Pocono Mountains Visitors Bureau, as we sit on the front porch of the historic Wolf Hollow at Delaware Water Gap Country Club. I feel like I took a step back in time, Carl.
It does a little bit, especially if you come out of Philadelphia and all the hectic pace, the fast-paced lifestyle that you live. You get to the Pocono Mountains, and it is a chance to relax, take a fresh breath, breathe in some fresh air. It's why people come here. It really is.
Over the years, we've talked so much about all of the new things in the Pocono Mountains, and certainly there is so much to talk about that has happened, and we've done past traveling golfer shows about all the new things. But this show seems to point toward the history of the area, and I'm not sure people realize how much history there is. By the end of this show, I'm sure they will. This is really a historic inn.
It is, and the whole area has a lot of history, particularly as it relates back to the golf. Shawnee, the 1937 PGA Championship, celebrities and the great players, the events that they've had here. Pocono Manor has had a number of television events back into the 60s, and then even up into the Milford area where you've got a Cliff Park Inn, which was one of the first 12 courses ever developed in the United States. The first one that ever allowed women to play. So, you know, the PGA itself has its roots here in the Pocono Mountains. So if you love to play golf and you're a fan of the history of golf, which a lot of golfers are, I mean, I think that's one of the great things about the sport itself, is it probably more than any other sport focuses on the histories and the traditions and the rules of the game. A lot of that foundation comes here in the Pocono Mountains.
Now, for those who don't understand the derivation of the term Delaware Water Gap, or haven't been up here to see that amazing scene, tell them exactly what it is.
Well, the Delaware River is the defining line between the state of Pennsylvania, New York, and New Jersey. You can actually see the gap in the mountains that exist there. Before roads and highways and everything else, people always took the path of least resistance. And instead of climbing over every mountain that you found, a gap like that, an opening, provided a conduit for people to travel, to transport from east to west. And that's why it became such a popular bypass through the area.
One of the other things that really attracts people to the Poconos is the quaint charm, not just of these historic inns, but of the little towns, the little restaurants, the little bakeries. Right in this little town of Water Gap, you have them all.
You really do. There is no branded hotel, there are no branded restaurants, but each one has a unique flavor that distinguishes itself from someone else, and gives it a sense of discovery for a visitor who comes there and finds an apple pie or peach pie or a cobbler or something else that is unlike anything else they've ever had before.
Bushkill Falls. Slowly I turned, and I saw Diane Hannon, spokesperson for Bushkill Falls. This isn't an old vaudeville act, folks. This is just our introduction to the traveling golfer fans to one of the great attractions you'll find right up the road from Wolf Hollow, Diane, thanks for having us.
We're glad to have you here today, Tony.
Yeah, not my first time here. I know this is maybe one of the prettiest spots in all of Pennsylvania.
Most definitely, it is.
Yeah, they do a great job with keeping this in its natural state for how many years now?
Since 1904, when it was opened by Charles Peters.
110 years since they decided to make this attraction. Of course, the falls was here longer.
Most definitely,
Yeah.
yes.
How many people come to Bushkill Falls every year?
We have 250,000 visitors that come here every year. But it was interesting, in 1917, they advertised that to get to Bushkill Falls, it was a one-day trip, which is the same advertising promotions that we use now, but it's an easy one-day trip.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a lot easier today than it was in 1917.
Yeah, then it was a one-day trip from Stroudsburg.
Correct.
Now it's a one-day trip from New York City or Philadelphia.
Philadelphia,
Yeah,
exactly.
right. So this is the main falls, but these trails go along for miles here.
We have 2 miles of trails, and they're labeled either easy or more difficult, so depending on someone's ability, they can choose how far they want to hike.
Diane, there's a lot more to do here at Bushkill Falls than just viewing the falls, correct?
Most definitely, and I'll be glad to tell you about them, so let's move to a little bit quieter area.
You've got it. Well, we're at one of the must-stop places here at Bushkill Falls, the Statue of the Bear.
Most definitely. This is the place that people, when they come out of walking the trails, will always stop and have their picture taken. And there's a sign that says, "I can't bear to leave Bushkill Falls."
Yeah, we just fell right in line with the usual tourist things to do.
You got it.
But there's plenty more around. This is a hub of activity here.
We're by the gift shop, we're by the snack bar. We have a Pennsylvania wildlife exhibit when you first enter the waterfall area, which has animals and fish, things that were here at one time or may still be here. We have the Native American exhibit, which has a longhouse that's life-size that shows people how the Lenni Lenape Indians lived when they were in this area. We have a new mining maze that just opened last year, which is fun for everyone, especially for children. They get to go into this maze and see how quickly they can get out of the maze. And when you get out of the maze, you punch a time clock, and those with the fastest time win prizes.
When you're in the area, hey, it can't all be golf. A little bit of falls won't hurt. We're with Brandon Hodakowski, aerial ropes course manager, right here at Tree Ventures, right in the Pocono Mountains. Another new thing. This is pretty amazing, Brandon.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you're in charge of taking everybody up into the trees, flying all over the place. It's like Peter Pan world here.
Yes, sir. We have a 5-level aerial ropes course and also a dual racing zip line. Basically, we harness everyone up after they're done filling out their waivers. We will then give them a quick little safety briefing to kind of teach them about the equipment and also how our course runs. We have all different levels from easy up to expert, good for anyone from 7 years on up to 70 or 80. We've had them all. So,
Works for anybody that
absolutely.
gravity works on, I guess.
Yep,
Is that
very
it?
true.
That would be most people, I think. And tell us a little bit about it. I mean, some of these things are actually testing your balance.
So it's basically like a jungle gym up in the trees. We have everything from tightrope walks to moving platforms, moving skateboards that are up in the air, tunnels that you have to go through, and different zip lines mixed
That's
in
the
between.
big thrill on the big zip line that goes fast and high.
Oh,
That's the exhilaration.
That one's 1,000 feet long. It goes about 30 miles an hour. Wakes you up really quick.
Yeah, for those golfers who need a little bit of excitement in their lives, this will do it for you right here, Tree Ventures.
Chief Tammany, that is that place up there that you see on the top, that is the side profile of Chief Tammany himself, right up there on top.
Best way to find out about this historic area is on the Water Gap Trolley. Takes you all around the area, gives you the historic background, and nobody does it better than Jose. Welcome to the Traveling Golfer.
Thank you.
How long has this trolley been in operation?
Well, the trolley's been running around since 1982.
What's the route for the trolley, Jose?
Well, what we actually do out here is a 13-mile, 1-hour-long tour. We actually go across the township of Delaware Water Gap, up through the Mini Sink Hills and Shawnee area. We come back down through the township one more time before we head on this road here, South 611, take that into the National Recreation Area. Of course, we wrap things back up at the trolley station. It's like a huge 13-mile horseshoe ride.
There are so many historic facts about the area, so many great hotels that used to be here. What's your one favorite historic fact you'd like to tell the guests on your trolley?
One that we're standing on right now, which is the Kittatinny House, which was actually built up here in this place. It handled about 300 guests at one time.
That was a big hotel. Had a pretty good view of the river.
You can just imagine the kind of view that it held for those folks that were staying at the top of that hotel overlooking that Delaware River out there. It must have been a gorgeous view, yeah.
Now we're down from a one-time 50 hotels, grand hotels in the area to just a few. But you said there's a interesting influence at a lot of places here musically.
And that would be the Deerheads Inn. If you want to listen to jazz performances, jazz music, that would be a great place to go to. It's actually one of the resorts that still remains operational out here out of the 50, which once operated in the Water Gap during its heyday.
Jazz, who thought that that would be at Delaware Water Gap? But there's a lot here that you don't know. Check it out on the Traveling Golfer. We're at the 18th green at Wolf Hollow, a fitting finish to our history lesson around this beautiful old property. You've heard about Walter Hagen, you've heard about the PGA Tour, you've heard all of the history, and you've heard about the need for shot making and how much local knowledge can help you around here. And here's one more tip, Tony's tip. Don't try this equipment out here, use the modern stuff. But I'll give it a go on this one right here. The more you play this course, the more you'll like it. That's the final word from Wolf Hollow and the Traveling Golfer.
Tony Leodora's golf wardrobe, courtesy of Antigua, the leader in modern golf apparel.
What if we told you that you could get more distance by increasing loft? What if the pros were increasing their loft a full degree or more mid-season? That's what happens when we move weight low and forward. Are you ready for more distance? SLDR from TaylorMade.